Hi, I'm Mike Slogan. In this short video, I'll show you how to use a track saw to cut odd-shaped pieces from sheet goods. I'm building a small shelf to organize my hard drives at my video processing station. And rather than make it in 3 pieces and use shelf brackets, I'll cut it out of 1 piece. I could put a fastening cleat on the bottom and just eliminate brackets altogether. I did a quick drawing on my computer. I'm going to modify it just a little bit and I'll cut it using a track saw. You'll notice that I can't cut this piece on a table saw or a miter saw very easily. I'll use my track saw with an 800mm rail along with 2 limit stops. I laid out the shape with my framing square. I extended the intersection marks to use a reference for my cut. This will allow me to set the limit stop at the correct location when approaching the inside angle as well as the face of the shelf cut. To prevent overcutting into the 45-degree corner, I'll do a little test plunge into a scrap of wood. I set the depth for a full plunge to take advantage of the 2 registration marks on the side of the saw. At a full plunge, you can see exactly where the blade will stop. Now, if you're not able to do a full plunge cut, set the depth of the saw, lock the saw into position with a front and rear limit stop, and then plunge the cut into a scrap piece of wood. Use a piece of tape and a marker to mark the ends of the cuts. You can see here I've marked a 1-inch plunge cut, and I've also marked a 1.5-inch plunge cut. To cut my shelf, I have to extend my stop lines on the inside angles. This is where I want my saw blade to stop. I'll align the track with the cut lines. Set the saw on the track and line up the front blade mark with the extended line of the cut. I'll install a front stop and I'll lock it down. Slide my rear limit stop in and tighten that down. Hook up power and dust extractor. Make sure you wear your safety glasses and your hearing protection. Now push the saw all the way back to the rear limit stop. Start the cut. And you'll see the saw will stop right on the line. I'll move my track over to the angle cut, and once again I set up my stop lines. I set up my limit stops, one for the rear and one for the front cuts, and tighten them down, and I can cut the angle, and you'll see this saw will stop exactly where I want it to. I'll repeat the process for the next face of the shelf, setting up my rear limit stop to prevent it from overcutting. And on this cut I really don't need a front stop, I'll just run it out to the end of the cut. Well, I've got my shelf cut. I can either veneer the front edge, or for a utility shelf, sanding and edging will work just as well. You can see that with the track saw I can get precise control over my cuts. I don't have to worry about overcutting in either direction. Using limit stops increases the precision of this saw and opens up the possibilities of some very intricate cuts. I've got some plans for a neat deck inlay that I'm working on. Keep an eye out for that video, and thanks for watching.